We used to drive around looking at big properties trying to find something. But when we found this, it's 170 acres of just a most gorgeous place. We're in the middle of nowhere. We have a creek that runs through the property. We have water buffalo, and we have a dairy. We just absolutely love it.
Come on, sweetie. Loretta, come on, you can come on.
A family dairy. A family water buffalo dairy that is headed by a woman who has been in love with farming and animals her entire life.
It started with horses, and I would go up to the Caribou and look after cattle ranches and guest ranches for forever. And it became something that got me by the throat and just wouldn't let go. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Oh, Lorenzo, of course.
It's a connection to the land. It's a connection to the animals. It's a connection to whatever we did. We had a blueberry farm in the Coombs area for a number of years, but we always had cattle, and I always had horses. So it was still the animal connection, and chickens and so on. And at that particular farm, we used to get about 20,000 people during the course of a summer. It was crazy. And when we moved to the Alberni Valley, we thought, let's just keep on with the animal side of our agriculture, and let's not do the direct market stuff anymore. Let's just focus on the animals. But soon it became very, very apparent that we needed to do something different, and we needed to have people come to us.
The primary thing for my parents is they always loved animals, and having a dairy farm was always a priority for us. We started off with blueberries, and we kind of worked our way from there. We had always had cows, but we've always done whatever we can to make things work.
So, how did we get to water buffalo? It all started with a family from Duncan who brought them from Bulgaria and flew them out of Denmark, and I was very, very involved in what was called the Island Farmers Alliance at that time.
You're just being silly.
The Island Farmers Alliance was a group of passionate and committed agriculture folks on the island that wanted to make a mark. We knew that we had to market our products differently. I had my son and husband go down and have a look because I didn't want to be dragging them to this table. And they came back and said, we're in. So how do we find our own water buffalo herd? And we got our first water buffalo in 2011, and the rest, as they say, is history.
You're going to spit on me. Come on, girls, let's go.
For all of us, it was, yeah, crazy, but it was a natural progression, and something that I think we all felt like it was the right thing to do at the time when we did it.
They're extremely affectionate animals, and I do kind of fall in love with them all. So what do we produce here? We produce baby water buffaloes, and those baby water buffaloes, when they're born, their mothers lactate, and we sell the milk. The water buffalo make the most incredible mozzarella di bufala and the bocconcini. There's an incredible cheese called Colby, as well as yogurt. So there's and brie. Really, it's unlimited what you can do, but our processor is kind of limited to those areas. But the cheese is amazing.
But before the cheese can be made, these animals have to be milked, which begs the question, how exactly do you milk a water buffalo?
Not easily. No, I shouldn't say that. It does take a lot of patience. I think when we first started, I completely underestimated the patience that is required. Bringing them into the parlor, doing things with them is anything can sort of set them off to say, I'm not going to give you any milk today. So they're very different animals. They're so different than cattle. They can hold that milk a lot longer. We're a seasonal dairy, which is very extraordinary. And right now we're in the slowdown period. We're actually looking at drying off the animals, so we're milking once a day, which you couldn't do to cows to the same level.
But even a seasonal dairy like Coleman Meadows is a labor-intensive proposition, and as any farmer will tell you, not one to be taken on by the faint-hearted.
No, it is. We're up at 5:30 even in the winter, and when we're milking twice a day, it's a long period of time. We figure that just barn cleaning and milking is an 8-hour job, and then there's all the extras.
Not everything is easy. For us, growing our market is our biggest priority, so that we can eventually grow our herd and ship more milk.
It takes an awful lot. It takes patience from us. It takes a really strong working environment. If anybody is out of sync, man, you sure know it, and so do the animals. So we strive to try to work together to the best that we possibly can.
Come on, Dawn. Come on, Dawn.
There's a lot of potential with water buffalo, and that's what's really exciting.
It's a constant balancing act. It's not much different than any kind of working environment in an office or otherwise, but you never leave.
Let's go.
Jennifer would be just fine with never leaving, except that her passion for farming, for the animals, and for the lifestyle is matched by her passion for protecting it for the future, leading this water buffalo farmer to take a seat at the head of the policy table.
I am the first woman chair of the Agricultural Land Commission. The Agricultural Land Commission was predicated on long-term planning. Long-term is 100 years, 200 years, 300 years. It is well into the future. Before I leave for Burnaby, most weeks I'm there for several days. I get a lecture from Edward to say, do whatever you can to save agricultural land.
For her, anything that she does, she takes it on 100%. So she's away more often, and there's a lot more time in the office, which I think is difficult for her, but for us on the farm, we're able to pick up the slack, and it's no problem.
For youth to continue in agriculture, that's so important, because this is an ever-changing world with land prices and capital costs being ever more. Jennifer is always looking for those opportunities, thinking 100 years down the road.
If people can't live like this, they've lost that sort of the connection to the land. And I'm gonna cry.